Listen, it seems that I've been given a bit of space to speak in this room. It's not very often that I can speak. My name is before the world was. That's because I know I am before the world was. I am on Pal Talk here, right? And every time I come into a Christian room, or an atheist versus Christian room, I virtually get shut down. I must admit that many of the atheist rooms are more receptive to me because they have been taught to be politically correct. Many Christian rooms, they condemn me. They call me a heretic. But I know that throughout the ages of the churches, many heretics were murdered by Christians. Many heretics were murdered by Christians. And God says, do not kill. So that often confused me, right? The church killed. But then we know that that was not the true church. We know that that was not the true church, right? How can it be? If you kill someone, you're not following God's commands. No, you're following the commands of dead men and religion and franchise operations of extraction of value from those who you subscribe. You know, you're calling those to subscribe to your beliefs. And you control them through manipulation of mind and emotions and everything else. We know what the church has been. I'm not pretending, you know. I'm just saying, hey, I'm ending that era. The church ages have finished. The 7 church ages, or the dispensations, they're finished. Jesus Christ has already returned. He returned into me, and he's returned into many. And he will continue to return into those who receive him. Right? Because the Lord now is that Spirit. What does the Bible say? Now the Lord is the Spirit. He is that Spirit that returns into you. And on the day of Pentecost, they spoke with power of the coming of the Lord. They spoke with the power of the coming of the Lord. He spoke through them. Why? Because he breathed on them previously and said, receive ye the Holy Ghost. And then when the Holy Ghost returned, he already had an anchorage within those men. And he spoke through them. He had already prepared them to receive the living word. And they spoke the living word. And Jesus was with them throughout the ministry of those apostles. Even so today, receive ye now the Holy Ghost. I breathe on you. Receive ye the Holy Ghost. The breath of life. I breathe on you. Receive the Holy Ghost. The entire host. The full counsel of the living God. Receive ye the full multidimensional structure of all creation as your own divine formulation. Let that one come into you, that the template of the living one would establish itself in you, you being the living Son. That the Father and you be one. That you know that you are the Son and the Father speaks through you. That's how the kingdom comes. The Father speaks through the Son. Jesus said, I can only say what I hear the Father saying. I can only do what I see the Father doing. So as you hear, you see. As you see, you be. As you be, that's through the doing and seeing and all the knowing of God working in you, right? You've got to know that you are the Holy Christ of God. God has created you as the offspring of itself. You've denied it. You've taken the Lord's name in vain and created something that exalted itself, the knowledge of the living God. You've got to cast down those vain imaginations and those false creations, those words of dead men that resonate in you time and time again. You've got to cast down those things and hear the voice of God, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the God of Gods. You've got to rise up above it all. You are that Christ, after all. You are that one, the risen Son. Jesus said, I have ingathered all things unto me. I have ingathered all things unto me. Right? He received us all unto himself. When Jesus was on the cross, right, it said he could have called upon 12 legions of angels. Well, what does that mean? He could have called upon the 12 houses of heaven, those shifting sands of time. He could have called upon all of those angels that were dictating to him. all the powers and principalities and rulers above in the heavens that were dictating to him his identity, he could have called upon those, but he opened not his mouth. Why not? Because he said, I'm not that. I am not dictated to through time. I am that life divine. I must be what the Father said. I am not that one in space and time. And he received not the help from those angels and rulers of heavenly places. He received not those 12 houses of heaven, those 12 legions of angels. He said, no, I defend this life not. I shall open not my mouth. I'm not identified by the shifting sands of time. I'm not identified by the 12 houses of heaven. I am the ingathering. I am the ingathering of all things unto me. I am the ingathering of all things unto me. And that is what I be. And he ingathered all things unto himself. He ingathered everything unto himself. And when he had finished ingathering all things unto himself, he laid his life down, and he had power to raise it back up again. He had the power to take his life back up again. And he said, Father, I have gathered everything to myself. Everyone is a member of me. Everyone is a member of me. I have come to set creation free. I've gathered everything unto me. And I'll tell you what, when the time was right, God sent his Son to me too. He sent the Spirit of his Son unto me, and I have gathered all things unto me. Right? But this is Jesus, right? His story is, he gathered everything to himself. He did not get identified by the shifting sands of time through the zodiac or the Matzerot, as they call in the Hebrew. He was not the shifting sands of time. He did not build his house, his body, upon the shifting sands of time. He did not build his house upon the sands. No, he built his house upon the rock. The ingathered one, the central sun, the fullness of all being oneness. He said, I am this one. And he went to fill everything, everywhere with himself. And then at that moment, all angels became subject to him. Can you see it? Before, he was subject to the angels. He was subject to the shifting sands of time. His house would have been built on the shifting sands of time. But no, he built his house upon the rock, the ingathering of all things unto one, into himself. And when he ingathered all things and laid down his life and said, Father, I am not this, you know what I am, the Father of all life rose him up again. He said, yes, Jesus, now go and fill everything, everywhere with yourself. And Jesus Christ then made all angels subject to him. Everything obeys the command of Jesus. And it's the same with you. When you no longer build your house, remember your body is your house. It's the temple of God. When you are no longer subject to all of the transmissions of the rulers of the astrological field of prophecy, when you are no longer subject to the things of time, but you gather all things of the multi-cosmic structure of all being oneness into yourself and say, Father, I must be everything. I must be everything. You said I am, therefore I gather all things unto me. And you assemble everything into yourself. Of his fullness you have all received. And line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, throughout space-time, grace upon grace, you are that light divine. You gather everything into one within yourself. Then you shall go and fill everything everywhere with yourself. You shall go and fill everything everywhere with yourself. That's Christ. Ingather everything. Those who gather do not scatter. You do not scatter. You do not send dissension among your brethren. You accept everyone as the members of yourself. You are the Christ. You can gather everything and everyone unto you. You say, they're all members of me. They are the constitution of my entirety. Everything before time is now gathered into me in time, and I fill everything everywhere in time with myself, which is the wholeness of all being oneness. That's God. Right? Jesus became one with God. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to receive every member of creation as your own divine formulation. Anyway, I'm going to hand over the mic at that because I'm going to make a new recording soon. Look, I'm preaching at you there, Mr. Dog Boy, because you need to hear it. Hand over the mic. Okay, hand over the mic. Just a second. Hand over. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm recording for YouTube, by the way. If you don't like being on YouTube, well, tell me.